Hi everyone, this is Nivedita, and today I have in conversation with me Shailaja Rao, founder and principal of the Future Kids School of Hyderabad in India. Shailaja is an educationist with a zest for life. Kids, dogs, yes, a few of them in school and at home, books, of course, music, plants, and the family, which is very large, and it includes thousands of students, parents, and several hundred of her team in the staff as staff members. She knows them by name, of course, by their hobbies, and by their worries, and also, by the way, by their address over decades of relationships. Shelja is known for her passion for design and creative pursuits that includes making everyone feel special. This year, she actually made handcrafted plaques for each of her teachers and Didi Bhaiyas, support staff that is, for celebrating them for the Teachers' Day. She sings and dances with her extended family of students, staff, and parents with their joys and sorrows while maintaining that no mountain is too high to climb and no stream too wide to cross. How does all of this gets done day after day, decades on? Well, let me ask her. So, Shailaja, what kind of energy takes you through day after day, year on year, and decades with the family of thousands?
First off, thank you so much for that fantastic thing you said about me. Well, I hope that's true. uh, uh, Frankly, Nev, I think life is fun. Life is actually very beautiful. And I think it's very important that, we all have children inside us, and that needs to be kept alive. And what best way to keep it alive than to be with children all the time. So that's one of the things that I think really, really keeps me going. And I think as a child, I always thought, why are teachers so boring? I mean, why are they? I mean, we used to have these teachers with those thick glasses and this stern-looking demeanor. That is kind of very off-putting, no? And then you very ironically and interesting, I always find English teachers are very approachable. They're a lot more pleasant. I guess the humanities side, I don't know what it is. Humanities does tap into the why and the how of the brain. So they're a lot more warmer, a lot more approachable. And you always wondered why can't people be like this?
Biased, Shailaja, I'm a life science teacher.
Sweetheart, you also teach English, right? You also
So,
teach
so
English.
this is a note to all teachers. Whoever teaches whatever, please teach English as well to be fun.
Absolutely. I think something about English teachers has always been very, very, they're very warm and effused. Not that the science teachers cannot be. I think that's what we kind of prove now, with their case that, you can be fun, and the children are with you always when you are approachable. See, that's so important.
Right.
Very important part of it. So yeah, the energy actually comes from the kids only. So every day that what we follow in our school is the three E's. The environment, we call it the environment. Then the second E stands for exploration, and the third E is experience.
Okay.
So the experience that you have out of the environment and the exploration drives you back to the system again. If you want to come back to the learning or the environment back again, and I think that's precisely how the teachers also are. And I think the entire exercise and the goal is to keep the environment happy, fun, and approachable. So the experiences are positive for the teachers as well as the students.
Right.
Everybody needs to feel the same thing in the ecosystem. Yeah.
So, in FK's environment that have spent days in, the joy is that you can find children, teachers, Didi Bhaiyas everywhere. You can also find parents in many corners of the school, which is very unlike other schools. And each of them are feeding off the energies of each other. So, how does that kind of openness work for you? What can you tell that as a school? How are you comfortable with that kind of openness and osmotic relationship between all aspects, all stakeholders of the school, if I may say?
Yeah, these are all lovely words, Sorry. For me, this is a synergy. The whole thing is a synergy, and it is absolutely symbiotic. You're absolutely right. Bang on with the word. And I think, what are we there for? We are there for the child. And who is the first person who has the child's best interest at heart? It's the parent. And I think it's very important that the school and the parent need to come on to one side of the story. I mean, it's our story, and in our story we have the child. So it's very important that the parent has a sense of comfort, needs to know that, yeah, my child is going to a safe place. My child is cared for. While I walk into school and I am looking at my child, I'm also looking at other children. And I think what also tends to happen is that, let's say your child is in grade 2, ठीक है? तो आप बड़े बच्चों को भी देख रहे हो, looking at older children, you see, okay, this is what's going to happen. So somewhere, as a prime, my child may be just 1 year old, but or my child could be 7 year old. I know, okay, going forward, this is probably what is going to happen. So it kind of opens up, uh, the school opens up to the parent, and I think that really, really enhances the parents' confidence, I believe, and their understanding. See, you can't blame them. See, they have come from the typical rote learning method. तो उनको नहीं समझ में आता कि यार एग्जाम क्यों नहीं बोलते यहाँ पे, ये क्यों नहीं पोर्शन दे रहे हैं, ये क्यों टेक्स्ट बुक कैसे नहीं हो सकता है स्कूल में, how you doing it. So the more you get them into this ecosystem and they start watching, I think they kind of get imbued into it imbues into them.
Right.
And that helps immensely, I think.
How do your teachers respond to that? In most schools, there's a bit of a hesitation. There's a relationship of us and them, a little bit of across the table kind of situation. But in your school, there are no tables to sit across. In PTMs, you don't have any tables to sit across. The staff sits outside in the niches in the school. So how does your staff team respond to it?
I think even they, unfortunately or fortunately, we've come up with the same system. All of us have gone through the typical schools that were of the past, And when they are a part of an ecosystem like this, all of us, including me, I wish I was in a school like this, is what comes up very often, because of the openness and the camaraderie we share with parents.
Right.
And I think that's beautiful. I think that also comes because the parents also are a part of what we're doing. So there's a relationship that starts developing. And come on, your child is going to be with me in that school for the next 12 years or 14 years or 15 years if you're starting off at play school. That's a very long journey. So, they are family. And I think that is something, see, as a school, we all believe we are a family. And God's been very kind if the people who started out with me have continued to work with me. So I think we've also formed a very strong bond. And I think our belief grew from strength to strength when they saw what I was going, initially I think they all thought मैं पागल हूँ, ठीक है? I think initially they were all like, what is she talking? But ठीक है, let's give her a chance. And I think when they saw things panning out in a positive way, their resolve and their confidence in what I was doing grew. So today I think that's been a huge blessing. So yes, teachers initially do wonder, क्या यार parent कैसे आ सकता है class के अंदर? So, you tell them why they're coming. So this parent is coming because she has no understanding of how place value works.
Right.
Or this parent wants to know how a child eats in class. Or she wants to help you while serving food. So I think that when these things happen, they calm down. And then they realize that it's actually a huge blessing. Because when a parent walks into the class, for example, and she sees the teacher, we do have assistant teachers, and let's say they're doing something, you automatically find that they also get up and say, can we help? Can I do this? Or I'll serve you, go take care of something. The friendship that's forming, and I think that's a lovely example for the younger generation.
Right.
What they are taking away. Like I'm often told that, some of the kids come and tell me, Auntie, SKS is a bubble. And we're so glad that we are a part of this bubble, and please let this bubble always be there. Because, we know that we can draw strength from there. So thank God that kids look at it that way and they don't, think otherwise. Yeah, world बाहर में ऐसा नहीं है. नहीं, वो ऐसा नहीं सोच रहे. Because we've had so much love here. We can give of ourselves there. So that has been Very nice. Yeah.
So that's a very interesting point you bring out, and it always rings in my ears to think that, um, as I have been associated and worked with different kinds of schools, there are schools which are elite schools, there are schools which are cult schools, there are schools which are mass schools. But FKS is not either or. It is a mass school. If you're talking of numbers, it has 2000 plus students itself, which means when you compound it with staff and support staff and parents, it's a very large family.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's a feeling of a bubble. So it has a cult thought process in the sense that that everybody knows each other, everybody is connected with each other, everyone relates to each other, and it is long term, which are the basics which define a cult school. And the
Right.
third thing is that it's the elite and non-elite school. And elite, when we think of, it's mostly considered as an international curriculum,
Hmm.
expensive or high end fee structure. In terms of, if you say financial terms, the high end fee structure is like 4 lakh plus kind of fee structure,
Right.
and a certain demographics of parents.
Right.
It automatically filters out certain number of parents. However, in your case, it has the expectations of a cult, in that is it's a bubble, connectedness is there. It has eliteness because you have not the fee structure, but the overall approach to education, which despite being national curriculum, it's very global in its approach. And it is mass, but it is not cookie cutter. So how do you not make it mass? How do you make it elite without making elite? And how do you make it cult without making cult? This is like my top unfurling agenda of Future Kids.
Um, I have, see, first of all, I think we're very boxed as people.
That's right.
We like to have labels. We need to kind of fit everything into these organized spaces and organized names. So first of all, I too hate boundaries. So I don't like that at all. So we've kind of, first of all, a simple example I'll tell you. My teacher say, why not the exam? जैसे बड़ा बड़ा बहुत powerful लगता है तुम लोग को exam बोल के. अरे it's an assessment, boss. That's all it is. So why are you? So if you can look at education, or if you look at imparting learning, so education is all encompassing. It's just not about imparting literacy. So there's a lot that you're doing. So when you are, yeah. So first off, I think one has to get clarity. कि मैं, am I here to just make sure kids are literate? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that method. Yes, Mike, as a school, I stand for this. They go write an exam, we get results, X, Y, Z. This is the end product, and that's one kind of schooling. There's another kind of schooling which came up in India, which was the alternate schooling method, and I found that neither was an answer. Right? So you had to kind of find an in between path, and I think organically that's what happened. So I said we need a syllabus to drive what you're doing, but you don't have to be in a box to drive that syllabus. So how do you do? How can you do this? So the alternate method gives you openness. It allows children to be, and they can actually discover who they are. Is what an alternate method does, where you kind of are able to come out sorted at the end of the day, right? So how do you get this going? That became the question, and to me, the first thing I actually went and did is सारे lines निकाल दिए मैंने. I said lines हटाओ पहले. Take off all this. This is no need. So for example, a very simple thing. Everybody calls me Shailaja in school. So when they ma'am me, I said, you know what ma'am means? You don't want to know, right? So don't ma'am me. It's not. Once you take off the see, you can't blame us. Our society has been so hung on these, the hierarchy and so-called status and the power that comes with it. I think if you can take that उसका हवा अगर आप निकाल दोगे ना, life becomes easier. So that's one thing I went and did. Then the question was that how do you make, so the three E's come back here. The three E's were, how do I make the environment child friendly? So I know that there are some people, well, you have all kinds of schools today, and God bless them, and I'm glad they're there also. The more the merrier, I would say. But then there are schools with fancy flooring and wooden flooring and all. When I was talking to Sudhir, who's my architect, I said, Sudhir, kids have to fall down, play. It cannot be fancy. He said, even I agree with you completely. So ours was a very simple flooring, and we just have cement flooring, and our kids just run around. And so we've gone and made the environment very earthy, and and it's not fancy. So and why is that important? See, what happens is you just mentioned, right? So people walk in, and you have a certain demographic that comes into school. Now, I don't know who the demographic is. I don't even care. When the kid walks in, he is a future kid. So I don't particularly know what their fathers do or what their mothers do. And they all have a common uniform. And that's why I have a uniform. Otherwise, I could have had like an alternate school, no uniform. But a uniform basically is a leveler. It levels you. So that is and it has to be functional. So everything that we went on to do, whether it was a uniform, whether it was timing, whether it was, whether I was going to, how my classes, how my schedule would be, everything was about how do I not kind of box this somewhere. So, and so it's a very huge topic, Niv. I don't know where to start and where to end, honestly. But yeah, so one thing was, yeah, so you said, so the most important thing for me was keep the school very simple, keep the school functional.
Right.
The stuff you use, I mean, kids should be able to just move benches, sit down, नीचे बैठ के काम करो. Or you can immediately get all these tables together, and you see what happens in many of these fancy schools is that they have an area assigned for cooperative learning, one area on the ground, one on, and I'm glad they have the luxury to do that. But I said that's not the way it should be, because you want your kid to fit into. I mean, if I go by Rudyard Kipling's if. King and a commoner, yeah, you should be able to function with everybody. It's so important. So and all of us also sit around on the ground. We work with kids, and when they see that, and they go out and they see something, and they say, "Oh wow, our aunties are not like this. They're very different." So then there's a certain respect that comes into a dignity brought into the whole ecosystem.
Right.
So so I think even our parents see the same thing. They see we are not. They see teachers. We don't have a staff room in our school. And the reason we don't have a staff room is I don't want staff room politics, man. You are here because you like to be with children. You're here because you love children. So I suggest that. So we had when Sudhir was planning our building, he said, "Ma'am, kya baat kar rahe ho? How can you not have a staff room?" I said, "Sudhir, you do one thing. You come and talk to my team." So they all looked at him and said, "Why do we need a staff room? We are here for the children, and we love being with them." So it worked beautiful. So we outside our classes we have these cement benches. So that of course that is used to stack things, that is used to sit and chat with kids. Teachers go and sit with children there. If somebody is feeling a little low, to bahar la ke usko bithao. The teachers can sit over there and correct their books also. So we've kind of gone and created the system in such a way that the teacher can, and our teachers don't use special teacher toilets. We all use toilets that the children use. That's another way of knowing whether toilets are clean also, right? So like I said, unknowingly it was not meant to kind of keep an eye on, but it's like it's a very free place, and that's such a nice thing. Thank God we're like that, because I cannot imagine minding my P's and Q's every time. It's very difficult to do that.
Yeah. You can feel the energy flow in the school, from the youngest to the oldest, and from whatever to whatever hierarchy. And I guess it feels the way you have not planned but got it planned, because intuitively it looks like it was to be a whole energy. It was not to be, like you said, boxed up energies.
Yeah.
and operating in silos, that this is what I do, this is what you do, this is when I do this, and this is when I do that. But they are all doing whatever they're doing together and at all times. I understand your teachers also have a kind of a uniform, which is like an excitement every year instead of being a told to
Yes.
wear a uniform kind of a situation. Do tell us about that.
So again here, Niv, it's also a leveler. See, when I first started out, I did begin with uniform, and that time uniform was because it looked nice.
Hmm.
I was a kid, okay.
Hmm.
Then I realized that it doesn't work because सब किसी का धोबी नहीं आता है. You know, they all have their own issues, so you kind of say, okay, ठीक है, doesn't matter. Then I began to notice that when people wore what they wore, uh, um, it is it you know you kind of can differentiate,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Hmm.
And kids, trust me, 2 year old also knows कि उसके जूते अच्छे नहीं है, मेरे अच्छे हैं, उसको मालूम है, intuitively पता है. So I said no, this is not okay, because you cannot put somebody down or put somebody up just because of the way they have been able to buy a certain kind of, they turned out a certain way. So we had to kind of come with a common method. Then we had a lot of talking, and then we had to kind of, price point was important. So everybody should be able to afford it, because we were not in a position to sit and dole out uniforms to people. So then the whole it took me a while to get people to understand. They did appreciate it, but they were like, come on, man, as kids we wore uniform. Why do we have to do it when we're adult? And we want to. So I said, then there was a conversation about it, and I kind of said, this is my perspective on this. So I said, and as a person, uh, very rarely have I not worn a uniform. So I have always led by example, and I'm crazy about clothes. The whole country knows that, okay? And my world, I meant, knows that. So then I realized that you when you have to walk the talk always. So one was that, and two, I explained to them, and I think they eventually saw the point. That it's very nice to. And I said, look, we all look the same. The children see us as the same. That's so beautiful.
Right.
And I think that was very, very. And I think kids. I remember one kid asking me once, Auntie, we all wear uniform. Why don't you all? He actually asked me this question. Why don't you have a common sweater? He asked me for the sweater. So then I kind of said that, bache, we can't do that. Then, they won't know who that auntie is and who the bacha is. So I just laughed it off with the kid. And then I realized that it actually made a lot of sense. And I think teachers began to appreciate the fact that kids also feel good. Yeah, I mean, they don't see you as someone sitting on a high horse.
Right.
They see you as, oh, auntie also wearing uniform. Yeah, so what is, I can also wear my uniform, and I should wear my uniform. That's a very important underlying message.
Right.
It was a leveler for teachers also, one. And two, I think that commonality gives you a lot of that oneness. The feeling of oneness is very, very, it's very powerful, according to me. It gives you, you feel so connected.
Right.
I can't explain that any better, because
it explains it. Feeling of connectedness is something which is resonating, because we are missing it right now. So I think we can all understand. So I'll close the talk with something which strikes me very deep about FKS, is that the longevity of teachers in the school. I remember asking you about the policy, the HR policy, and the teachers turn around and said, what HR policy? We don't we don't need a policy. So I said, okay, so what happens, how many, like, people go in and out? He said, none of us ever go in if we don't have to go. So so how does, I mean, this is a big ask of many school managements, of many school owners, how to keep your flock together. But you have mastered it. You want to leave us with some tips?
I think the one word is trust. I think if you can trust people, I think in the world today we can't trust easily, and for many reasons best known to all of us. But I think it takes a while to build trust. But when the trust is built, and people feel, you want to feel accepted. You want to feel that you're growing, you're evolving as a person. So the environment should leave you feeling evolved, and I think and as a person you see that change within you internally. I think that I think has kept. I know so many of my didis who used to be bashed up by their husbands. They all come back and tell me, Amma, we are happy now. He's not beating, he's stopped drinking. So I don't know what it was, but yeah. And there's one thing I definitely do, Nip. I talk a lot to my team. We talk, we share, we spend time together. So like most schools would stay back to 3:30 or 4:30 every day and have these rules. We say please go back home on these days, but every Friday we will stay back in school. But of course, that is priority. That's priority number two. If we have a lot of work with kids, we don't do that, but we do something called a Friday session, which really, really something that we all look forward to, because I think a lot of us have gained a lot personally. I think that was one huge takeaway and a huge value add, if you ask me. So I always believe if a teacher doesn't grow as a human and she stagnates, what are you going to offer to the child? So you have to constantly be in a. You should have the jest in you and the inquisitiveness to kind of unravel yourself on a daily basis, and that's very, very, and that probably is one of the highs in my life, because I do that very often, and I think a lot of my guys do it now. It comes very spontaneously to us, and then it's nice. It's I think trust is a huge thing. So, and again, like I said, I used to hate like एक register लगाओ, sign करो. So I said, यार तुमको छुट्टी चाहिए, you take leave, right? So you find that people genuinely have a reason,
Right.
they take leave. So, and when they take leave, nobody asks them why do you need to go. Only thing we began to request was, Baba, 4 jane ek saath mat jana, bas. We can just plan that out a little. And some things, sometimes it happens, man. People fall sick. Kids are sick at home, or your in-laws are sick. So suddenly there's an emergency. So what they do is, within the team, they'll say, okay, I'll go in the morning. तुम second half में आ सकते हो. So between them they will arrange and reorganize. So that is one thing that we found that they do very well. And as we grew bigger and bigger, so now there is obviously a little policy, because our admin needs those leave letters. So then we brought in some system where people have to kind of say I'm taking a leave in advance or whatever else. So I mean, thanks to us getting affiliated to the council, the paperwork required is very different, right? So we had to kind of, so na chahate hue bhi, we got into that. But then I don't have very. There's no dotted line. There's no red line there. It's a lot of understanding. I mean, I have had colleagues whose husbands or families have been very sick, and they've had to go on a long leave, and they've kind of exhausted all their leave. You understand, yeah? You don't cut the salary. Come on, simple. It's common sense. What HR policy you need there for that? So I think it's all about the heart and it's all about the head. So to me, that is intelligence, where you balance your head and heart. And I think I hope my kids, as they grow up, learn to balance head and heart, because that's true intelligence. Cerebral hona ek hai yaar. See, either you're all heart or you're all head. Like be a blend of both. So that's been the way I have kind of worked along these lines, and I think I'm very grateful. See, Niv, my dad I want to close with this one line. My dad used to always tell me. He said that there are zillions of engineers in India. There are zillions of people who are way more talented than we are. And he said that if your work, आप जो भी करते हो, अगर आपको थोड़ी सी भी recognition मिलती है और आपको लोग they laud your work and they think that you're doing good work, just count it as a huge blessing. And I genuinely believe that. It's something that he used to always say, and I think, yeah, you ek haath hai upar, and I'm very grateful to that hand. Yeah. Otherwise,
How beautiful.
I could be doing great things, yeah. But the other person, so I am very grateful to the parents. I came to Hyderabad, don't know anybody here. I just landed up with one 5-year-old kid and a few bags. जिनसे अच्छा मेरे को कुछ करना है यहाँ पे भाग्यनगर में. So I landed up in 96 December, and a very dear friend who had Padma had a lot of trust in me said, "You come to Hyderabad. I am also there." So this is how I came to Hyderabad, very ironically and very beautifully, if you ask me. And the parents who stood by us and who understood what we were doing. I didn't have money to put hoardings and all, nothing. It was just sheer word of mouth, and not one day did I have to say कि आज मेरे को एक walk-in नहीं हुआ है. I swear by God, there have been walk-ins. Somebody calls. I think God has been exceptionally, I mean, very, very kind. So very grateful to the Almighty for this and all the wonderful people. Even the bhaias and ladies, I am known for my temper. I'm not a very sweet and no, I can take off at no point, and they understand. That's so beautiful. They understand. They've walked with me. और क्या चाहिए जिंदगी में? You have
Hmm.
such a loving team with you, and so much love coming your way. And I always believe the heart is a beautiful organ. It has place for so many people, yeah. And I keep one, and I'm amazed. Yeah, and if somebody asks me, whom do you love a lot? So they
Yeah.
come and tell, very difficult to say whom I love a lot because there's a place for so many people. So kids come and tell me, aren't we your favorite test batch?
Hmm.
I, s- I said, very difficult to say that, Baba.
Hmm.
Each of you all are special, very difficult to say who is my favorite child. No, I don't have a favorite child. Every child is my favorite because there's something so beautiful in each one of them. Likewise, my teachers also, they're all very, very nice people. And I think the more I see them, the more I see them giving of themselves, the more I fall in love with each one of them. And very grateful, and I actually get very emotional when I think of them because मैं किस हक से उनको डांटती हूँ, उसी हक से उनको प्यार भी करती हूँ. And it's reciprocated. It is so nice. So I think we've been very lucky, and I'm glad the kids are able to see this, Nif, in today's world where dog eat dog world ho gaya hai. There's so many, barriers and in our heads, and we really need to open our hearts and heads,
Right.
because we really we need that element is really, really missing. So I think education for me is just not literacy. It's about rest of the story. The rest of the story is important. Literacy ho jata hai, is not a big deal. Kids are very, very sharp. You just have to find the right way to kind of reach them,
Hmm.
and that's not rocket science. That's easy. I think the difficult part is to do the rest of the thing,
Right.
and to get that right, literacy is not a big deal. I mean, our kids have got fantastic results, and they come back and tell me also, Auntie, what is the big deal? We also got the marks. Now we also got the same marks. So it is doable. So they know, now. Thank God, a generation. I mean, every generation that's going out, they know that this is possible.
Right.
That's a
Yep.
huge,
Yeah. It's
huge
it's
takeaway.
possible. It's possible with trust. It's possible with empathy. It's possible with care. It's possible with a lot of love. And it's possible to do it at a logical cost. It's possible to do it in a grounded way. It's possible to do it in numbers. I think there are many more thoughts ringing in my mind, but we'll close it for today with that
Yes.
thought, and get back to you sooner than later.
Thank you, ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you as always.
Lovely. The FKS way is a great way.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.